That's the only thing I could say bad about this entire episode. There's no need to wonder where your god is, because he's right there. And he has tons of mercy, actually. Generic intro into that goes. We're back with the finale of Overanalyzing Avatar, or kind of, because we're going to do Overanalyzing Avatar after this, and that will be the finale of Overanalyzing Avatar. But today we're doing Sozin's Comet Part 4, Avatar Aang, which is the final episode. It is one of the best pieces of, I guess, of episode cinema. I'm not even sure what the definition of it would be, but it is one of the best things ever created, in my opinion. I haven't seen a whole lot because I'm uncultured, but the Avatar finale is just phenomenal. It's one of my favorite things. If I'm ever was like, oh, you need to watch an episode of Avatar: Last Airbender, chances are I'm gonna play the finale because it just looks so phenomenal. I have loved this series so much. It actually started because of a super insane patron requested me do episode 1. People loved it so much that I continued the series all the way through the end, and I have a playlist on my channel. You should reaction to the last video. I'll leave it right up there. I'll also link down below the description and also in that playlist, like I said. But this all started because of a super insane patron requested a video, and it won the poll thanks to the viewers, and people watch it and they really enjoyed it. But shout out to my other patrons because they get videos day early and support the channel, allow me to do this, and allow me to have this new green screen behind me and stuff like that. So shout out to the patrons. Shout out to everybody that's not a patron but still watches every single one of your videos, every single one of my videos. I read every single one of your comments, so leave them down below. But let's go ahead and jump into Sozin's Comet Part 4, Avatar Aang. I think this is also one of the longest episodes of Overanalyzing Avatar that exists.
This is actually the first different take in an episode recap that I ever noticed. Probably because it's such a different take. Here's Sokka in the original episode,
yeah.
Zuko gets separated from them, and he's like, oh my fucking god! And here he is in the recap, where he's just like, oh no.
Suki!
Remember how I mentioned like 50 episodes ago that each title screen has its own unique little jingle? Well, Avatar
what is this
has
one?
The Avatar theme to go along with it.
It's so epic, dude. It's so epic.
Oh, and another kind of overall thing to mention.
I'm not sure why he's doing
The
curveballs.
color of the finales lining up with the book titles. Book 1's finale was in blue, Book 2's finale was in green, and now Book 3's finale is in red. Interesting that last episode we clearly counted 14 for 14 airships being hit. The one Sokka and Toph are on right now managed to stay in the air after being hit, obviously, and so did a few more. But this one in the foreground even has its firebender still doing his job. And so does the ship
why?
they're on,
I guess
actually.
that one missed.
Shit, these guys are dedicated, I guess. I wouldn't still be out on that platform.
Oh, they got hit.
Back like this. Now I've lost all semblance of an idea on how many ships are left in the air now.
They have so many.
More would be less damage towards the end of the airship slice.
True.
Able to stay in the air. So I'll give the show the benefit of the doubt.
That's true, but also they're not the strongest things. Oh, dude, the sword.
That Sokka's sword is leaving behind, I get. But in this shot, would there still be sparks getting kicked up all the way up here? Answer: probably not.
No. Well, maybe it's meteorite, a special meteorite thing. When did he have a broken leg?
Yeah,
there it is.
What about your back, your arm? You just felt like 50
your
feet
shoulder.
A dead stop and then had to hold on to a probably 80-pound girl. How was your arm still attached to your body?
Exactly.
How did you even manage
If you
to
just
hurt your leg?
ripped.
I'm just saying, with my knowledge of follow rest, these firebenders would still definitely die if they fell off this thing for any considerable distance.
Well, I mean, they have
these
the
lifelines to stop their fall. They need some guardrails on this shit. I'm gonna have to write them up for this.
Oh, dude, boomerang coming in clutch. And the sword. Oh, dude, the sword.
I love Sokka's
being able to cut through that.
It's not some world-saving moment, but it's a moment that really highlights what Sokka's about. He's intelligent, quick-thinking,
dude,
resourceful, and he's
Sokka
always
is like
crazy,
almost
MVP.
MVP.
And he gets to be a crazy, badass warrior.
Is he MVP in this episode?
Awesome writing, dude. If you watch Space Sword here after.
Also, if anything's ever
it,
blurred,
like,
YouTube's copyright system.
Up. How hard did he throw that?
Very hard, and it cut through metal.
Space sword.
I hope he finds
why
it
am I
again.
getting sentimental for a sword?
He finds it again.
Boomerang's coming back, Toph.
Okay, I'm gonna let.
Yeah, last one was a day late.
Boomerang's always supposed to come back. The ship Suki somehow pilots from the outside to ram this other ship seems pristine here in this shot, even though we definitely heard it take an impact last episode just before Suki got trapped on it.
Maybe she jumped to another one?
Perfect way to wrap Sokka up. He's come so far in so many ways. He gets his big badass moment, yes, but he's always wanted to be a leader too, and he's calling more shots now and being confident about them than he ever has before. And that's not even to mention that he started this series as a guy who didn't think girls can do what guys can. And here he is at the end of the war, his crack squad being that of 2 girls that he's depending on, and that he's extremely confident.
And he saved. Yeah, no, Sokka's moment was crazy.
Dealt with before the Comet arrived, right?
Imagine what he would be OP right now. Imagine how OP he would be. Yeah, he'd be a walking nuke right now. Sparky boom man. And you hit the butt. Yep, that's bad.
There's gonna be a few moments in this final
goofed.
video where you're gonna say I'm going too easy on the show, and this is probably one of them. Aang getting jolted
wait,
into the
what do you
Avatar
mean
state
going too
because
easy?
this rock just so happened to point out like this. It's never really bothered me that much. We've had mentions about Azula's lightning being the reason he can't go back into the Avatar state, and we've been looking at that scar all season. And if you want to get mad about little conveniences, well, it's awfully convenient that Sokka's sword landed just like that so he could kick it up into his free hand, right?
Yeah.
You can argue that about a ton of stuff. It's a cartoon.
Don't look too
story,
closely.
and that's part of storytelling.
Just
Sometimes
enjoy it.
things just line up. There are gonna be moments that just work out. That's part of the medium. Could there have been a better way to do this?
Yeah, last video was an entire day late because copyright was so bad.
But I think there
so if anything's ever blurred, that's why.
Come out just as an outcome of the heat of the battle. It's cool. It's dynamic. It's a big moment. Me personally, I've never had a problem with it. Oh, and I've always made this awful joke in my head too. Aang already got his back slammed into a rock wall once this fight, and nothing happened. And I mean, it's a 50-50 shot. Either it happens or it doesn't. So I'd say he was due. Dude, and I love how up in Ozai's face Aang gets here. He's like, "What the fuck is up right now?"
He's like, "You want some, bro?" I love that little move that he does. Like, what was that? Why do that? Yeah. There's no need to wonder where your god is, because he's right there. And he has tons of mercy, actually.
Fuck, this is cool. Fuck, this is cool. Yes, I meant to say that twice. There's absolutely merit in having your shit just look cool and letting your audience just enjoy how dope and powerful your characters are. And this show basically hasn't done it with Aang alone in the Avatar state yet. It's always been cut short, or he was half fish. But usually it's cut short. But not this time. This is the only time we get to see Aang go completely gorilla shit and have no moral or physical obstacles to get in his way. This is what everyone's been waiting for the entire show. Paying Aang some visual spectacle for waiting so long hits the note.
It's so cool.
I'm pretty sure that's not how water works, but you do your thing, Aang. Oh, there goes Jong with his fucking firewall.
Yeah,
man.
You know it's him. So what is that one of the other benders doing right now? I guess they're just they are working as well.
Homage to a line from the end of book 2.
Many times I imagine myself here, at the threshold of the palace. But I always thought I would be here as a conqueror.
Iroh is here as a conqueror, but destiny's a funny thing.
Yeah, well, conquering it for not the Fire Nation, taking down the Fire Nation. Dude,
this might
the
be
sound
the coolest
effect.
fucking move in the whole show, and Aang actually uses some of Toph's hand movements for it too. She's the only person we've ever seen use these motions, so that's a cool detail too.
The sound effect,
Zuko is still somewhat mobile after taking a bolt of lightning, which seems weird. If you're paying attention though, he did actually redirect it. He caught Azula's lightning with 2 fingers, but immediately brought his hands to his chest. But the next shot, we see the lightning shooting up into the sky, which means Zuko didn't take the direct hit. He actually did manage to redirect it. What seems to have happened to me is that Zuko incorrectly redirected the lightning.
That's very possible.
You need to let the energy flow through your stomach and not across your chest.
No, because bad things,
or else the damage could be deadly. So Zuko taking this hit and being able to like be alive makes a little more sense.
Be alive?
All of that being said though, Iroh described letting normal lightning pass through your heart being a pretty foobar situation. So I feel like Comet boosted lightning should probably be a death sentence.
I'd really rather our family physician
Dude, she's just
little Zuzu, if you don't mind.
calling Zuzu.
With all of my problems with Azula in this finale, her being able to so effortlessly generate lightning isn't one of them, actually.
Well, she's completely crazy.
Peace of mind to generate lightning, and that doesn't perfectly describe Azula right now. But you've had those moments of realization at some point where you've gotten really good at something, and you're like, "Wow, I'm not
I could just
really
do this.
doing it in the way I'm
Yeah.
just doing it in this other way that works for me." And it works for you because you're so familiar with it. And with how perfect Azula wants to be, my brain can definitely make the leap that she just has a mastery to that degree. And I know you're gonna clap back at me like, "Oh, you're just filling in gaps for the show. You're doing all the legwork for the show's shortcomings." I'm making her be able to use a fucking magic spell more reasonable in my head. It's not the crux of her entire character. Hey, look, it's the only 5 seconds in the show you can convince me Azula is actually flying. She doesn't even seem to be that good at it, though, as she gets back down on the ground like right away. Okay, now how do I feel about this? I think Katara being the one to beat Azula is a really cool twist that most wouldn't see coming. And it's a very resourceful way for her to win. Once again, it's a brand new move and nothing anyone would really think to do. But is this better than Zuko finally beating Azula?
No,
would that have been
it's
more
not.
satisfying? Yeah, I really do think so. But Zuko still gets a really nice moment in blocking the lightning. He selflessly puts his safety on the line for someone else, just like little Zuko would have. But is this really much more than a surface level moment for Katara? I think it's just cool. I don't think
I really don't really think about
in terms of Katara.
You know, Katara bringing down
She
Azula.
should be having big thematic moments in her final duel, but I don't feel like she does like everyone else.
It's a bit like, oh, snap moment, but that's not her character. Katara's character is, you know, healing, nurturing, and all that. And someone did that for her, you know.
I should have tried harder with Jet.
Like, you know, she's always trying to protect others and look after them, and Zuko has protected her this time, and it paid off, kind of.
The final shots of Azula are great for what they tried to do. It's very sad the situation that Azula finds herself in, just because of the card she was dealt in life. But once again, this moment falls flat for me because her descent was handled so poorly. Oh, and add lightning scars on the list of parallels between Aang and Zuko as well. A very rare full CGI battlefield shot here. Could you imagine how bad this would have looked if they just used this for the whole battle?
I'm glad they did it.
Dodged.
Yeah, major. That would have been so bad. That would have been a huge mistake. Easy after. He'll do what he wants. He'll summon
you see how
water out of the air.
Ozai's getting fucked on right now, but you gotta give him some style points. And speaking of Ozai getting fucked on, the biggest problem that I have with this fight is that it never feels like it's just two powerhouses meeting on a level playing ground and duking it out. For the first half, Aang is running in on the defensive, and for the second half, Ozai's running in on the defensive. Most people rank the last Agni Kai above Aang and Ozai when they talk about this finale. I feel like this fight would have been a lot more revered if it had a little more screen time of Aang surprising Ozai a few times without the Avatar state. It would make it feel more like a fight rather than two different chase scenes.
That's true. But it's more about the anticipation than the actual fight itself. But God, if it doesn't look amazing.
Okay, this might also be the coolest move in the whole show. This one's cool in a different way, though. It's, like, very technical.
I don't even know how that works like that. Also, that attack would definitely, like, kill somebody.
Towards Ozai in the shot prior. It's just hard to notice because of the spectacle of Aang dealing with the fire blasts.
Look at this fucking line I take. I am fucking clutch! Look at the fucking pace!
What is...
You and your forefathers have devastated the balance of this world. And now...
The fear in his eyes.
Shit, man, there's not really much to say here. I wish there was. I just love this show. And now I have a question for you. It's one that I haven't heard asked very often at all. And whenever I ask it, I
should Aang have killed him?
Aang voluntarily leaves the Avatar state here. That much is clear. But my question is, when did he gain control over it? Was it literally
right
just
now? I guess
was the idea
beforehand,
of killing
maybe
Ozai
that
and betraying his idea
brought it out.
That pushed him over the edge, meaning that it was the primal instinctual Avatar state fighting Ozai the whole time, or was Aang in control the entire time during the fight, meaning that he himself fucked on Ozai and that he himself
I think so.
About to do it. I don't think there's any good way to tell, and I found that it's about a 50-50 split on
what
what
do you
people
think?
believe on the matter.
I read every comment.
I haven't even thought the other way was a possibility. But when the world needed the foot scar continuity the most,
it's gone.
Even with all the power in the world, you are still weak.
Are you sure about that?
Here actually mirrors something he said at the start of the fight.
I have all the power in the world.
Do you now?
I guess this is him kind of admitting that Aang's physically stronger.
That's kind of crazy.
This is really cool that Aang uses seismic sense here. Awesome moment.
Just
He's come a long way. But it really makes me wish they didn't have the seismic sense moment in the runaway. How sick would this have been if this was the first time we saw Aang use it?
Oh, yeah,
true. Another example of, oh man, can't use that move. It's way too overpowered. Kind of plays back on the whole General Fong thing. Just completely immobilizing your opponents with earthbending like this.
Yes.
Man, it's lucky that it's the final battle and they can pull shit like this. This one's super hard to notice, but after Aang catches Ozai's first hand, he sort of does a Bagua movement to circle around the other side of him. He even seems to have his hand out like he did against Zuko that one time, perfectly using air nomad movement and earthbending in tandem. So in the shot here, I always thought it was kind of weird that Aang did a weird air fire blast,
kick it?
But he doesn't. It's that Ozai is actually breathing fire at him here,
and he's
Aang
just
is blocking it with an air
and somehow
blast,
not burning Ozai. This scene is absolutely insane.
So, energy bending. Okay, it's a lot
This
to
was
handle
like such a crazy moment for me.
Especially since the way Aang got it was because a lion turtle showed up and just gave him a free way out. It is cheap. This really takes a lot of the agency away from Aang, and that's my biggest problem with this. Not that Aang didn't kill Ozai, or that it may have been selfish for him to place his own ideals over the safety of the world. Aang didn't figure it out for himself. The world just gave him the answer. And this show has shown us time and time again that working through things and finding the answer for yourself is an awesome thing. And that usually involves looking at the problem from a new perspective and opening your mind. This wasn't an option anyone knew your mind could be open to. This wasn't an option to anyone on the team or any of the past avatars because no one knew. The audience didn't even know it was an option. Much unlike Aang's previous struggles, he doesn't have to work for it. He doesn't have to look at the situation in a new light. Not only that it's just totally out of left field, but it clashes with one of the biggest messages of the entire show. Growth. Fuck, even look at the titles of the first and last episodes, The Boy in the Iceberg and Avatar Aang. This show is all about personal growth, but this time, at this most pivotal moment, it isn't. A giant fuck-off turtle shows up and does it for him. That's why it feels cheap. I personally like that Aang doesn't kill Ozai. I think there are definitely things you shouldn't budge on, because that's your way of thinking. Yeah, no. That's part of who you are. Aang being steadfast and headstrong on that idea works fine for me, but having someone else solve this final problem for him does not. Plus, holy shit, can you imagine if Aang did kill Ozai? What a sour note to leave the show on.
True. Like, it kind of in a corner there a little bit. How else could they have done it?
I mentioned this all the way back in episode 1, so I
Guru
hope you've been
Petit?
paying attention. Throughout the entire show, Aang is shown to be weakened after leaving the Avatar state, just briefly. In the first 2 episodes, he collapses entirely, and throughout the rest of the show, he struggles less and less with it, but it's still obviously a burden. Until finally, here we are. He activates it on command and stands tall afterwards. Yeah, this ship is way too well put together for the beating it took. There's no way.
I took his
Yeah, well.
spending away. Wow.
They're like,
Who
what?
told
You
you
did
that?
what?
A giant lion turtle. You have the craziest adventures when you disappear.
What are you referring to again? This is
What
the
other-
second time Toph vaguely references Aang just taking off. Are we not totally privy to all the Aang leaving the group stories?
Now
I don't
that
know. What else?
He's gone. I guess we should call you the Loser Lord.
Oh my
One of my
god.
favorite things about Avatar, I'm sure you can tell by this point, is the tone and how it can keep things light. But I feel
He's-
that the
I
further
guess
we
he's
get
weak.
into Book 3, there
Very
are more
weak.
moments of levity that miss for me. I don't really need this scene of Ozai getting dunked on and looking like an idiot.
You
This
know.
is another moment I wish they took a little more seriously.
Yeah, a kid show.
Like you.
Kind of like you.
But don't ever break up with me again.
That's strike 3, May. You're out. You're officially deep red flag walking, and I'm not even talking about your fashion sense. This is totally where the last Agni Kai took place. You've got the same pools of water
Yeah.
and floors here. How did they get this place to not look like it was carpet bombed?
I heard.
Yeah, it must have been a while.
I am the proudest.
I mean, everybody's got to travel there.
I don't know, Hakoda. There should probably be some well-placed scolding here if you heard what Sokka did. Did you hear what Sokka did?
Did you?
Warriors. I have to
Aw.
admit, I kind of missed the face paint. So how's it feel to be back in uniform again?
Oh, he doesn't what's her face?
Feels great.
Ty Lee had this line back in the beach about having 1,000 sisters and not wanting to spend her life as part of a matching set. I'm not totally sure what this means for that comment, because she's definitely matching now. Has she gotten over those issues, or is this just a writing blunder? I'll give it to them again. It's the finale. I'm in a nostalgic mood. Good for you, Ty Lee. And
Yeah.
here Aang sits with my hypothesized best airbender in the world medallion, or very likely a recreation.
One of the best.
Worn both by Yang Chen and Monkey Otso in the past. Holy shit, the Swamp Benders
Everyone-
have a whole area
I
going
guess,
off to
yeah.
themselves for the unified nation shot.
Which
I
is
feel
kinda
like we've
crazy.
seen 10 Swamp Benders max.
Today, this
Why
war
do they
is
get their own
finally
section?
over.
They're the
I
same
really
amount of
like
people.
that they show 2 families that had been uprooted by the war when Zuko announces that. Nice touch. The one thing that really bothers me here is Iroh isn't here. Not a single shot of him. Not
Wait,
even in the
Iroh's not
watch
there?
shots. We don't get a single shot of Iroh looking proud at the redeemed Fire Lord Zuko. Did he just stay in
Why-
Sing Se to get the Jasmine Dragon back together? To
There's
me,
no
Iroh
way.
would
That
miss
is-
for the world. So it feels really
Yeah.
empty that
No,
he's
he
not
would
here.
absolutely
Okay,
be
the
there.
Where's my mom scene is a weird one. It's really
Which
the
the
only
book
major
explains.
plot point that's left to tie up. So I feel like it's good that they do bring it up, but having it cut away is honestly disappointing. I don't necessarily think the show would have been stronger to leave it out, but it leaves a really interesting point in a really awkward place.
Where is my mother?
And we actually have some more prison bars imagery here too.
Yep,
Zuko is
just
framed
like
from behind the bars
Iroh
here
was there.
again, but now it's clear with the door open behind him, he's found a way out. The bars even fully zoom out of shot in the final shot of the scene, like they were about to last time. And with the light spilling into the room from behind him on his side of the bars, it's clear that his journey past his mental imprisonment at the hands of the man in front of him is over. These 2 kids playing around near this Tower of Fire Nation tanks are
dangerous.
actually 2 of the same kids that Iroh imparted some wisdom on back in Tales
Really?
of Sing Se. And so is this kid. You can see all 3 of them in this shot.
Aw. Yeah, how is Iroh not
It's
there?
nice to see Zuko is still humble with the title of Fire Lord compared to where he started, entitled and exiled. Man, where's Ty Lee, dude? The rest of the gang is here, even May. And don't tell
Wait,
me
May?
she's
Oh,
with the
May is
Kyoshi
there.
Warrior. Suki's here. Man, they ghosted Ty Lee so hard in this last scene.
I wanted to do a painting, so we always remember the good times together.
That's very thoughtful of you, Sokka.
Oh, yikes.
Why did you give me Momo's ears?
Those are your hair loopies.
Now here I can appreciate some levity. We're wrapping up, and we fell in
We
love
can be
with these
silly.
characters because they feel like real, good people. So leaving them on a moment where they're all
And
joking
Iroh's
around
just
and being
laughing.
happy works perfectly for me.
Hey, my belly's not that big anymore.
Anymore.
I really trimmed down.
He's right.
He's right. Buff Iroh. Oh, don't they
And
kiss
the
here?
entire show
I think
ending
they.
on Katara and Aang works just fine for me too. I think their relationship was built up to across the entire show, and is an alright note to
Blushing.
finish on. Maybe it
You
would
saved the world.
last
You get the
few
kiss.
scenes were reversed. Katara and Aang confirming their feelings for
He's
each
not
other,
Sokka,
and then
though.
joining the group in the Jasmine Dragon, and then zooming out on a shot of the extended gang all having a good time. But still, I think
And
this is a good scene. to
Zuko
leave
with
on.
tea.
Most everything tied up and everyone in a good place. All right, episode thoughts first. As far as finales go, you can't really ask for a lot more.
It was
There's a lot of
amazing.
very satisfying and emotionally complex moments.
It was
I feel
amazing.
like just about every every character and storyline gets a pretty satisfying ending. But it's still not
Reminds me a little bit of
perfect.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with how everyone had it.
Perfectly stuck the landing on the ending. Almost none. Avatar definitely stumbles in some areas, but not much more than the other greats. I think this episode is exactly what the show needed.
It was.
Great wrap
I
up
loved
on
it.
an exciting finale.
I can't say anything bad about it.
Saying goodbye
except Ira not being there.
And I'm happy.
That's the only thing I can say bad about this entire episode.
And drag things out to have the stories never end, and they slowly peter out and die, and their legacy goes down in history as a tarnished one. Avatar: The Last Airbender had a story to tell, told it, and left you wanting more. That's what a good story does.
And then Korra exists, which I still have not seen. People want me to react to it, but copyright would be a pain.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is my favorite show. I've watched it more times than I can count, and that is not an exaggeration. And I can count like really high. It's funny actually. This is gonna be a short wrap up. I've talked so much about the show.
Well, he does overanalyzing Avatar, which I will be doing.
Me through some rough times. I love its themes, its messages, its
That's
animation,
so good.
its sound, and above all, its characters. I haven't found another show like Avatar yet. Not one that hits everything just the way it should like Avatar does. Maybe I will one day. But until then, Avatar stands as my favorite show. Now, we're going to get into the patron shoutouts, and then I'm going to do a little unscripted rambling part after that to get my final feelings on overanalyzing Avatar as a whole. Now, besides that, I guess all there is left to do is start another rewatch.
Holy crap.
If you want to see what
7 minutes?
Overanalyzing Avatar, you can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video.
When did this come out? A year ago. 800,000 views, that's it.
Mayor once and got elected to the Supreme Court somehow. ASD Invictus, who ate an entire Boeing 747 piece by piece over the course of 11 years. Ferb, who makes a living by shoveling snow off skyscrapers
salamander
with
or whatever.
of a helicopter. Blade Typhoon, who chokeslammed an international terrorist through the windshield of a Lamborghini. Caesar's Ghost, who can read any book instantly by slamming his head into a hardcover
windshield.
Costco 94, who has a flying carpet that has a handbrake for some reason. Danger Stranger, who was already the survivor of one world-ending event. He could probably pull it off again. Daniel Ward, who found a portal to the crawfish zone and thankfully found a way to close it. Dwarfy McCrumpin, who walked across Antarctica in 21 days but can't remember how they got there.
That's kind of nuts. There's still parts of Antarctica no one has been to.
Who isn't able to see blue, but he can see Schlur, which is the color the rest of us can't see. Eric Barty, who made his own computer from scratch, mining all the metals he needed was kind of a pain. Etc., who brought a fully grown Velociraptor back to life just to see if they could take it in a fight. And well, I haven't been writing compliments about a Velociraptor. Finish Blood, who won a neighborhood dunk contest by jumping out of a low-flying plane and bringing it to the rim with cataclysmic force. Fritz Sullivan, who, to get real for a second, was my first Fuck You Money patron and never missed a month. So biggest shout out to you, man.
Oh, that's awesome. It's cool that he did that.
Powered by a supercomputer that wanted to experience human life. Hardwired Weird, who has one of the go-go gadget powers. He just hasn't figured out which one yet. I hope it's the helicopter hat. Harrison Poland, who went to his local gym and lifted every single weight at once, so everyone else just kind of gave up. I just wanted to be the last overanalyzing Avatar video. Who did it? Il Dorado, who killed the last samurai, making him the last samurai killer, leaving the position of last samurai killer open to the public. Jared Bergman, who crossed one warlock one time and now suddenly he turns into an octopus person every new moon. Jesse the Rock Johnson, who caught a fly using only one chopstick. Figure that shit out. John, whose underwater screams amid a blinding light. Kevin Hall, who crashed an office Christmas party by skydiving in through a window, and he doesn't even work there. Literal NASA rocket scientist, who made one of those paper fortune tellers that is actually always right. Mandatory Sin, who calculated the absolute end of days, and it's frighteningly close, but they're still pretty chill about it. Mako Ore, who's secretly been storing solar power to unleash their ultimate move. Misha Boblov, who recreated the Mona Lisa using only a ballpoint pen, and it's valued at around the same price. Muting, who owns a beachfront property on every beach in the world, including one no one else has found yet. Nopetron, who carved their name into their elementary school desk and is now an urban myth to all the kids that have gone there since he graduated. Parker Brilliant, who got into a Latin rap battle with a ghost that he summoned from a Ouija board. Pran of Prem, who was actually the next stage of vampire, really breeded out that whole sun.
I'm pretty sure
thing.
is that EJ's actual Patreon?
Africa by Toto and somehow
I think
making
it
all the
is.
instrument sounds at the same time. Sean Martin,
EJ
who got hit by a
Chief?
bus, throwing off everyone's schedule, so he gave each person $20 and then just carried on with his day.
Understandable.
Door, who can open and close most sliding doors with his mind, but only when he gets really close to them for some reason. TDI
close?
who had his final battle against the hooded man in the combat.
Is he doing every single one of the patrons like that?
The Psychic Bubble, who got Mandela affected to the effect of 99.9% of reality changing. Much unlike everyone else who only notices small things. Be thankful they bear that cross for you. Thomas Lautenbach, who jumped the entire English Channel on a motorcycle with a jet engine attached to it.
How long is the English Channel?
Who's just about done with their own, even larger Hadron Collider. More huge shoutouts go to my other Fuck You Money patrons: Agent Rhino, Ben Misra, Bram G, Brendan Murphy, Donnie Snow.
Maybe it wasn't all of them. Maybe you just got a whole bunch of them for the series.
Jake the Rake, Jerry Kraft, Caitlin, Kennedy Stapleton, Leif Arnhammer, Lou Carrera, Michael Michael Runke, Nostalgic Games, Nick Kapanen, Omega Fighter, Philly Days, Skylo, Scott Strider, Stephanie Riches, Tiago Nascimento, Varundo, Whitrow, Will Schneider, Wolfman Dan, and Zoompy. And of course, my god overanalyzers, Active Sloth, Adam White, Alex Fritz, Alan Garvin, Ali QPZM, Andrew Watred, Ananok Magnolis, Austin Gallup, B. My Valentine, Big Thirsty,
I wonder what his little ramble thing's gonna be, because it's gonna be like 3 minutes.
Kate Stinson, Caleb Fosnock, Cameron Osola, Kanon Corpse, Charles Barnett, Charlie Bronkowski, Check to You, Chloe Benton, Connor Doman, Dan Bertel, David Carlisle, DJ Jax, Do Mutual Aid, Dominic.
Wait a minute, I've been doing this series for almost a year. When did this episode come out?
Fingal Karn, Flex Short B, Gennaro, Gregoire Lardy, Isaiah Wilson, It's Carton, Jacob Whitecotton, Jake
this was 1 year ago.
James Oakland, Jaziel Martinez,
this came out
Jimbo, Jonna Jocka, Jop Moreland, Josh
February
Bowen,
2022.
Tiffany,
When did I
Justin
start
Fletchall,
this
Justin
series?
Scott, Justin Moore, Kate and Connor Prendergast,
February
Kazuto
22nd.
Kirigaya, Keon Gilliland, KT and Den B, Lady Serena, Lehman Russ, Leeville Smallme, Life Before Death,
God.
Madison McCone, Mario, Matthew Stargell, Medium
Where's
Beast,
my reaction to
Mayor
Overanalyzing
Kimmel,
Avatar? There's a
Michael
playlist. I'm
Michael
looking for
Springle,
it.
Mike the Magic Man, Mitchell Gobrecht, Mortius 007, Nathan William Sizemore, Nickel Pickle 582, Nicholas Abbott, Noah W.
My
Checklin,
first episode
Omar, Ori,
was
Papa Jaka, Parker Gass, Philip Conti, Purple
August
Danielle,
18th,
Quentin,
2022.
Radiator Rat, Ranga, Ray, Riley Booth, Rob Lobster 4065, Rocket Mist, Ryan Maxwell,
So
Samuel
a little
Gray,
less than
Shadow
6 months
Fox
after
Nero,
this episode
Sky
aired.
Darkin, Sky Shabot, Sophie Kitty, Spory, Stab Dog,
So
Stefan
many
Isle,
people.
Steinwan, Sunlime, Super Salad 726, Super Sniffer,
He made a lot of
Arizona,
money that
The
month.
Alternates, The Flyway 27, The Hardys 01, Timothy Bazzelli, Travis Chestnut, Triad Juice, Two Loaves of Bread, Valdemar Holland,
2 Loaves of
Lavina
Bread.
Lockfire, Wilbur Base Boosted, William Willett, Wool, Wyatt Pence, Zancrim.
I've been doing this series for an entire year, over a year.
Guy that signed up with some sort of bear face. I don't know.
Since
So that's
August
That's all she
2022.
wrote. I haven't done one of these unscripted portions since we were halfway through the series, so it felt appropriate to do it again.
That's
now.
fair.
So this has just been a really cool experience, making this show and having people along for the ride. When I started this over a year ago now,
Of course, he's
I didn't
showing
think anyone
the
was going to watch these.
glasses
I was making
thing.
these for myself. And honestly, up until the very end, I was still making them for myself. This is a passion project for me. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, so I'm kind of proud of myself that I got it done. And Avatar's still my favorite show, and I'll probably still watch Avatar throughout the rest of my life. I've actually noticed things in the show that I wish I pointed out in Overanalyzing Avatar in the episode.
Is why does Overanalyzing.
Like, I'm still watching the show and finding things that I've never seen before. It's incredible. But I've talked so much about this show at this point, I feel like I've said my piece. And I'll definitely still be talking about Avatar in the future on this
Which he
channel,
does like
but
the
it's
comics
just,
and books, I
looking
think.
back, I've said a lot. And my mission statement in episode 1, I said
Has he
I
been
wanted to say
recognized
everything
by
I've
anybody
ever
from
wanted to
the
say about
official
this
team?
show. And I feel like I've done that. All my controversial takes, or maybe even bad takes, I've said it all. So was Overanalyzing Avatar perfect? No, but it was a really fun ride. But even if I was making these videos for myself when I started, and even to a large extent now, I'm extremely grateful for everyone that's watched these episodes and subscribed to my channel and shown me any support.
He noticed so many
Whether that be
things.
likes or comments or sharing it with people or whatever you did, you've all made this a really fun ride. And of course, shoutouts to the patrons as a whole. You've all changed my life drastically for the better, and that is not an exaggeration. So this is it. The end of Overanalyzing Avatar. We move on. I hope some of you decide to stick around and enjoy my future content.
That's always
as a whole.
terrifying.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Whenever you finish up with a series or something like that, and you're just like, oh, I'm about to lose everything. That was like a huge fear I had when I was doing Red versus Blue, when I was like, oh, when I finish Red versus Blue, am I going to lose like all of my subscribers because I finished Red versus Blue? But fortunately enough, that was not the case. I do so much different content and everything, and still only a fraction of my viewers are even subscribed to the channel. It's like less than 30% of my viewers are actually subscribed to my channel, but I still get a lot of returning viewers and well over 1.3 million views a month, which is absolutely insane to think about. And I can't wait for the content I'm going to be able to make in the future with the new green screen behind me and stuff like that, with the Duck Goose food and whatnot. Everything I have planned in the future and all the fun stuff that is going to happen in my life and everything. So much has changed in the last, I guess, 61 weeks. Or 62 weeks, because I missed a week because YouTube wouldn't let me upload. But since August, that's absolutely insane to think about. August 18th, 2022. That takes me back a little bit, back to when I first started this series. It's always kind of like a bittersweet thing when I finish up a series. I always look back at where it started and where it ended and where the channel's grown and where my life has grown. And maybe you can do the same with yours if you've been watching through every single episode, since maybe you've been subscribed since before the series and you watched every single episode along with me. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Next episode or next video will be Overanalyzing Avatar, which some people pointed out to me that I should do. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. If you're binge watching the playlist, there'll be one more video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I hope I made you smile lots. But until the next one, take care and cue the music.
We were playing